Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Had a little technical glitch. Hopefully, the glitch is over. With that said, so honored and happy to have Beverly Glazer with us again. Today's word is transformation. I think that's essential to everything we're talking about. The show is focused on women's empowerment. And with that said, chat's open. And let me introduce Beverly. And Beverly can give us a quick update and first thoughts on transformation. Beverly.
Okay, well, first of all, we're always changing, aren't we? And we're changing right now, Dawn, because sometimes just online, you can lose connection and then you have to go back. And so you have to jump back and you have to be resilient. And so this is what we have to do. We're changing, we're transforming all the time. And what I do is sometimes I'm a coach, sometimes I'm a therapist, sometimes I'm a consultant, sometimes an advisor. I help uh, women, high powered women, women that are high performers to connect the missing links between their personal and professional life. And that is transformation. We're always transforming. Now, when you think about it, you can have one life on a personal level and a completely other life on a professional level. And where do they connect? Are you comfortable in both? As we go through life transitions, which is really what we're talking about today, we tend to reflect on the things that are missing in our lives. And that's where I come in. But what happens is in any transformation, it's a messy place. You're kind of saying, I really want to do this. I'm not sure how. It's that butterfly transition. I am changing. But the larvae doesn't look all that great, right? But as you transform, it becomes a beautiful butterfly. That's where the ease after the transformation comes in. But transformation itself is messy. And a lot of people don't even want to go into it because it's that feeling that I'm going to fail. I cannot do that. For one reason or another, there is that limiting belief within us. And women have an awful lot of that because we've been pre programmed by society, we've been pre programmed by our parents as how we should be, how we should act. And then what happens when something changes is like that messy place. If I should be a mother, and I also love working and I should be in the workplace and I have demands on that, then what happens is you can always feel that you're missing out on something. And that is transition to be able to transition back and forth and be full, really in your heart and soul in wherever you are. So, whether it's personal, whether it's professional, wherever you are, you have to be your own person. And so, we're talking about transition here. And I would love to hear what you have to say. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Any comments, please. Has it been difficult to transition from one part of your life to another? Has it been difficult to transition to be a mother? If you weren't a mother and said, I never want to be, and then you reach midlife and you start saying, maybe I should have been. How do you handle that? How do you handle all the transitions that go through your life? If you're a daughter and you're supposed to be a good daughter, and I said supposed to be, but who's perfect, and you're taking care of your elderly parents and you're trying to do the best that you can do, how do you transition to be the caregiver and not the daughter that perhaps you have issues with those parents? So we're always in a process of changing. We're always changing hats. We're always moving from one direction to another. And we shouldn't fear transition, but it's not comfortable. So this is not smooth. Okay, so we're talking all about that today. So I welcome your comments, I welcome your suggestions, and let's hear what you have to say. Don.
That was terrific. Every time we start, you really give us a great lift off. And I do believe transformation is what it says it is you're moving from where you are to where you want to be. And comfort is always easier, short term at least, staying where you're at. And when you're making the move, you're giving up something you're accustomed to embrace something that's new and that's challenging. And that's why a lot of people fall back to their old habits because they didn't make the transformation in a more smooth, let's say, uh, step by step way. Some people just plow into it and it's not sustainable. With that said, we've got our first comments. I can tell this is Carrie because it's a joke. When the burger finally proposed, he gave his girlfriend an onion ring. Well, that goes right together for sure. We've got Omar, who is just a wonderful individual, great colleague and supporter of the show, and myself and others. And Omar has the Zoom party show, which I suggest you take a look at. It's a lot of fun, and it's a lot that one can learn from. So, and transformation affects people at different age levels, different positions in life. So, and today, with all the rapid change, transformation is even more important and it comes along faster than
Yeah.
typically. So, I know you work with a lot of wonderful people trying to help them through transitions and transformations. What typically is the common thread?
I don't think there is a common thread. Not when I'm doing the custom work that I do. Because of my background as a therapist, when I coach my clients, and therapy and coaching is completely different, people, completely different. But when I coach my clients, I use the tools that are therapeutic tools that can get you to where you want to be depending on what your needs are. So if I'm going to be doing a workshop, it would be general. However, for the custom solutions, people come with, ah, this is missing. How can I get that? Or even the fact that I have a great career. It's really terrific. And guess what? The company has now closed up or been swallowed up by another company, and this is not my place anymore. And I've given my life to this. And now what do I do? And for women, there's the ageist factor too, as well as the feeling that they aren't good enough and they have to prove more that they are capable. And to your point, Dawn, AI is coming in, tech is coming in faster than ever. And there's a tendency out there to say, well, if you're old, you do not compete. How do you know what a young person knows? Well, the bottom line is you can learn. And there's another thing also that they know something, you know something else too. And you have to understand that you have value. And when you start feeling your value, you can go out. But I have seen people, and particularly women, really being shut down, not because of their abilities, but really because of their age. And it's said in a very nice way, but they feel it. And so you don't even have to remind or tell a woman this. There is always the feeling that I am up against a whole slew of other people. And it's not even about men. You know, it used to be a competition of, oh, whether it's a man or it's a woman. Now it's really about, am I capable? Is there a feeling that I can do it? And technology is doing a lot of that. People are starting to fear that they are going to be expendable really quick. Everything moves really quick. And so transition is something we all have to be on top of. When I'm speaking personally, I'm thinking, I have transitioned from an office into a complete online business. And do I love it? I absolutely do. And did I always want to do it? Yes, I'm living the dream when I think about it. This is really what I wanted to do. Because when you're stuck in an office, and I say stuck in an office, you are. It's constant and it's people and it's traffic and you're doing the work. But online, you're doing exactly the same thing and there is more ease and there's more flow. But did I have to learn it? Yes, but I embraced it. And I know many of my colleagues said, how do you do that? How did you do that? First of all, because I've always been up to date on learning technology, always, because I had this, it's just me. I love learning, and technology is always creating. And so you're always constantly learning. And I thrive on that. But if you don't, and if you fear it, and if you don't embrace it, what happens is everything passes you by. And when you think of people who resist, and that could be on anything, they're not open. And if you're not open to change, you're not going to change. And that's in a relationship. That's in business. That's it. Definitely in all areas of your life, you're open. And that's meeting new people. And that's just being the kind of person that you are that is open. And guess what? As soon as you open, you learn. And when you help people, does it come back to you? Tenfold, okay, 20-fold. Do you do it for that purpose? I certainly hope not. But all you have to do is put yourself out there. And it's not about getting that job in the transition. It's about how can I provide a service for your company? So if you're going to be changing, it doesn't matter if it's business, it's whatever you do. Think of what you can give first. And then you will make that transition. People will want to come to you because you have something to say, because you have something to offer. Not what can you do for me because I need a job and I have left my company or my company has left me, whatever that is. The feeling of your loss. It's not about you. And in this great big world, it's so not about us. We are so small, tiny little gnats. Okay. So we have to realize that we're just out there like everybody else, everything else. And we have to change. We have to transition. We have to evolve and we have to embrace all that change. Done.
Yeah, you make so many valuable points, and just to kind of leverage off of one of them is visibility gets you seen for who you are.
Mhm.
In most cases, you're right, ageism, lookism, whatever you want to call it, is usually based on superficial judgment,
Yes.
right? Someone sees your profile, someone just briefly previews it, but when you get on shows like this, people see you for who you are, and how you deal with things. And in most cases, since we're on a professional platform, people really are focused or should be focused. What can you do for me? How can you help me? It's
Yeah.
not as important as what you did, what you want to be. It's how relevant are you? And relevancy is key. And you're right. And it's easier to match up with groups that are already aligned with you
Mhm.
than try to pass yourself off as a 30-year-old and fail at it, right? So that it's a big enough audience, you don't have to sell anybody on what you do. You just need to expose what you do in a most professional, easy way to understand. And the last thing or additional thing, and we got some great questions here,
Great.
is looking for help. Transformation and transition is difficult on your own because you got tunnel vision. You're working in a vacuum, and it's easier to leverage that load with someone else who's professional at it or objective at it. to help you guide you through that. And that's why individuals like Beverly are starting to have so much more value out there because of the ability to help someone transition and hopefully do it on a long term basis for themselves versus the start and stop. With that, let's go to Omar, who has a question. I'm glad Beverly solicited questions today. I have a question for you. Let me make you work. What is the key to change or transform? Because our brains can be set on the bad habits. And then, really quick, and then I'll turn over to Beverly. Christine Feedy has a wonderful comment. Age is always a factor as a woman. For younger women, may be seen as lacking experience, even unintentionally for middle aged women, may be seen as difficult to manage or having too many family responsibilities. For older women, may be seen as less productive, no longer invested in an organization, or unable to be promoted. They may also be stereotyped as anxious, dependent, useless, or a burden. This can make them invisible and dismiss them as having no value to society. Older women are also less likely to be promoted or considered for leadership positions compared to men of the same age. This can affect their career trajectories and contribute to gender inequality at higher levels of an organization. Well, Christine, you really covered a lot, and it's very important what you mentioned. So,
Yes.
Beverly, what's your
Yes.
thoughts?
Well, first of all, Christine, I want to thank you for that. Okay, because not only did it take time and energy to write, but you're 100% dead on. When we stereotype, and whether it's a woman, whether it's a man, whatever it is, we always stereotype. Stereotyping is a way that we can just acknowledge immediately, do I like this person, do I not, etc., etc. After you've stereotyped, though, that's where you have to stop it. And then you have to give that person a chance. Listen to what they have to say. Don't immediately write somebody off just because you're a woman, you're old, you're young, you're this, you're that. And, but that goes for all people. Okay, all people. Just because your hair is blue doesn't mean you're a horrible person and you should stay away from them, right? The immediate stereotype there, and immediately we put people in boxes. Well, as soon as you put them in a box, check in with yourself and say, hey, wait, what am I missing? And that's the thing. And that's why I said it's not about us. If you want a job, give. And for an older woman, you know immediately. And people send out the message. You do not have to ask the question. You know if you've been excluded. You know if they think that you're irrelevant. You know that. So, and that's a feeling. What you have to do is understand where it's coming from and not allow that to destroy you. People have lost jobs because of that, because they just feel not welcome. What you have to do also is brush up on your skills, understand, ask questions, speak to your superiors, say, do I need more training in this? They will tell you. And people are only too happy to help if you ask. That's everywhere. I've seen in the workplace so many people that are so stressed and they keep on doing the work over and over. They're not changing. They're not transitioning. The more you pile on their desk, the more they're going to serve, the more they're going to do it. And they say, I can't take this job, right? The point is, if you don't tell anybody that this is like a little bit too much, how does anybody know? So you're going to be treated much like you, I was going to say the word deserve, but you've trained the other person to treat you. And this is the thing. If somebody else piles something on your desk again, you say, and when do you expect me, use humor, and when do you expect me to get this out? Should I get it out after this? Or is it so important that I leave this and I do this? There are ways of speaking to people. There are ways of letting people know that I am not going to put up with this. And it has nothing to do with age. The age comes from you, the feeling of being treated like that, the feeling of being invisible. You're allowing it if it's there. Speak up, stand for what you believe, own your value, own your worth. And this is where confidence, this is where assertiveness comes in. And women have been taught, there I am stereotyping, and I'm putting us in a box. We've been taught that it's not nice to stand up and be assertive. Well, I'm not talking about aggressive. I'm talking about it being assertive. And the example that I just gave was when somebody's piling off on your desk and you have all this stack of papers to get through. What you immediately say is this really important, or can I leave this for tomorrow? Do you want this done? So what you're doing is you're letting that other person know that you're a human being and you cannot take the pressure. The other way around, you're telling people, okay, they're just giving it to me. It's a terrible job. I can't deal, blah, blah, blah. You're going to tell yourself these stories, and the pressure is overwhelming. And so you have to know what's right for you. You have to stand up for what you believe, and you have to use humor. Humor gets you a long, long way. If you're angry, if you're pissed off, if you have attitude, let me tell you, it's going to go absolutely nowhere. So if you're stuck in a position, it doesn't matter where, use humor everywhere. If you are ignored in a restaurant, and I've seen that with women, um, one particular woman was saying, you know what? I was with younger people and we were out to dinner and I was completely ignored. They were talking, the waitress and everyone else was talking to all the younger people. And I just felt invisible. Well, if you feel invisible, say, hey, you didn't get my order. Make yourself seen, but do it with fun. Do it with joy. Because don't be angry about it. Don't feel resentment that you're invisible. Perhaps you're making yourself invisible. Do not. And that's the key. A lot of older women feel that they aren't relevant. They let themselves go. I hate using that cliche, but what it really is it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Well, if you care, that's all that matters. It's not about nobody. It's all about you. So what you do is if you don't want to be invisible, don't be invisible. You want to go to work, wear that power suit. If you feel that you're a non-person, take a look at how you're projecting being a non-person. Don't just look at them, look at yourself. So if you want to transition to anything, all you have to do is say, this is what I want to do. And you have to make the change. Become more assertive, become more powerful, get more education in certain areas, speak to more people, align yourself with colleagues. And really, community is a wonderful way to go. And so there's so many different ways that you can get support so you don't have to feel less than. When we feel that we are not worthy, that we are less than other people, we act like that as well. So what you're doing is you say, okay, this is enough. Literally, it's enough. I've been mistreating myself. Other people are mistreating me. And so I'm going to stand for who I am. I'm not going to be mistreated anymore. I'm not going to be treated like that. But do it with charm. Do it with a joke. And don't take it so seriously. People do not know what you're going on with. And everybody has their stuff, each and everybody. So don't expect them to be thinking of you. They won't. You have to kind of help them out. Okay. And so life transitions are easier if you tell people that you're struggling. That's simple.
Yeah, I think what you say is so valid because communication is key. Communication will dispel perception, right? Or prejudice, because most people want to solve a puzzle without any vowels. They're too fast on the trigger. They categorize, put people in a certain box, and then it's your responsibility to get out of the box with them and share, and also understand that they're underestimating you. They're underappreciating you. There isn't a benefit you have because when you're finally going to work and people start judging on what you do and how you do, you'll be a positive surprise. I think the other thing that's important that Beverly mentioned is you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. And there's a certain point where you say, hey, I can deal with that. That's acceptable. That's fine. But at this point, if I don't respond, I'm going to put myself in a new box. And if I keep backing up and going into a corner, then it's going to be harder to get out of it. And so when we're talking about transformation, we're not just talking about a major from here to there. It's slow transformation within. Some people can only digest so much, can only learn so much at such a rate, and some people can't change. And when you go up against a wall, you're in the wrong place. If you got to keep fighting and selling yourself all the time after proving yourself, then it's not worth it. Or at least be able to say, honestly, with respect, here's what I'm seeing, here's what I'm feeling. I don't know if you're aware of it or if this is in your intention, but I'd love to bring it up because it's creating a productivity issue and it's also stressful. And I think most people are in a situation like that in some form or another. Some people are viewed as too young. Some people are viewed as whatever. You need to clarify it by it's not what people think of you, it's what you do and people see it and respect it and appreciate it, especially if you're in a crowd of other people like you. If you're one of 10 salespeople, eventually your sales will start to demonstrate it. Your comments or uh, um, recommendations from people will do that. And I think that's maturity. And I think when we're talking about transformation, we're talking about evolving, maturing, reaching a higher level of performance or respect. Christine, also want to mention, got her MBA just a few weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Worked very hard at it, and I know it was question mark. To Omar's question, what is the key to change or transformation? Because our brains can be set on the bad habits. Well, how do you change, if you can, bad habits, Beverly?
That's a great question, Omar. It's really a good question. Change doesn't just happen. Okay. I don't want to go into the psychology of all this, but there is a formula. Prochaska and DiComenti. I'm going right back to university thinking of this. How do we change? The first thing is you have a thought. Think of this, okay? As an example, I have to go to the gym. That's your thought. And you keep saying that to yourself. Oh, I have to go to the gym. I have to get into shape, right? That's your thought. You keep thinking about it. And then you take a slow action. That's the next step in transformation. I'm going to call the gym and I am going to register for the program. Okay. But are you going to do it? How many people don't do that, right? They pay the money with all good intent and then they don't go. Okay. Gyms make a fortune on those people. But here, you're the person that wants to do it. So, in all good intention, you go. That's the next one. The next step is you're doing the action. And so, in the process, this is concrete. You're saying to yourself, I have to go to the gym. I joined the gym. I'm going to be going. And usually people overextend and they go and they say, okay, I'm going to go 5 times a week, right? And I say, do not do that because that's for sure going to fail. You're not going to be able to keep up the momentum. So what you have to do is go at least once. All right. Kudos to you. That's a win. Keep going. And that's the fact, Omar. It takes at least 30 days, sometimes 3 months to change a habit. Once you get used to that habit, I'm going to the gym Tuesday night, and you make it Tuesday night. Okay. And then you fall off the wagon and you do it on Wednesday. And guess what? As long as you've gone to the gym, it's a win. Don't be hard on yourself. What it is I am changing my behavior slowly, but it starts with a thought. And what happens is you have to continue. The more you continue, you're literally wiring your brain. Okay. And you're going to want to go to the gym and feel even guilty if you don't go on Tuesday, and make it Wednesday or whatever it is you say, I have to get to that gym. That is what goes on. And that's the process of change. So it starts with the thought. So when you're thinking and saying, I want to not eat snacks at night or whatever it is, right? In the beginning, it's like, I want to, but you're not going to do it. As you're eating the snacks, you say, I'm eating too much and I should cut this down. But you're not ready really to change. When you are ready to change, you take action and start doing it. And repeated action is what makes transition. So keep doing it.
Well, I think that's such a great response, and I think to add to it is at a certain point you don't want to be classified as that younger person. You don't want to fit into that mold because you're not, right? A 20-year-old will never be a 50 or 60-year-old and vice versa. But here's the key is you need to be responsible for who are you choosing to help you choose you, right? If someone has a mindset or somebody says things that make you uncomfortable, believe it. And a lot of times it's not what you think, it's how you feel. You
Mm.
just get a vibe, you get an energy. You look around and you see how people are around you. And there's so many opportunities that to settle for something that creates a headwind instead of a tailwind is counterproductive. So, and again, having support, having shows like this, having people like Beverly who offer 15-minute consultations if it's aligned with what Beverly's doing makes sense. Take advantage of it. Get all the resources you can together. Study, review, get to know the person before they get to know you. Everybody has a LinkedIn profile, right? See what they post, see what they've done. And at least when you go meet them, you're conversational. You've made an effort. So why start from a fresh start when you can start from a head start? Dennis is here. Dennis is just a great individual, heavy supporter of the show. Agree stand up and use humor. And that relates to what Beverly was saying earlier. And we will be better humans. And a rhythm in time still saves nine, and you be presenting fine. I believe this is Jason. Good morning, Don Beverly. Glad to be here with the community to start the week off. So happy to have you. And then Christine is really diving deep into this. The reality is ageism is worse for women because we're supposed to stay young, thin, and without scars. We are judged more harshly for cursing, drinking, promiscuity, and being assertive. That doesn't mean I wallow in self pity or feel hopeless. I am just aware and rise above. The thing is, women have more obstacles to navigate, but there is a course to get there. I agree, humor is a great tool. Lastly, some people are incapable of having an honest and open conversation. In some cases, it's best to think before you address certain topics. Uh, when I became homeless, Alan Knowles says, I was blessed by many men in my community. I'm in the midst of spontaneously forming a business relationship with Google. Well, good for you. Carrie, congratulations to your degree. Christine, and that's part of it is having people who think the best of you because they've gotten to know you and they're supporting you in different ways, and know that you're never alone, right? And just like you don't want to be stereotyped, you don't want to generalize or stereotype a whole industry or whole world. um, and I think that's the key is everybody's changing. Alan comes back with, I'm in a situation where I could demand results. I'm getting your messages. I'm in the midst of going from me to we. There is definitely a living ghost in our super machines. And I think hope is everything. They say hope springs eternal. And I think that's important. And, a lot of times people see you for who you are and how you project. If you come in weak and insecure and underconfident, it's just people know it. And it's hard to say anything without sounding weak based on how you present yourself. So really check yourself in the mirror every day to say, am I ready to go? If this is important, what have I done to prepare for it? And at the same time, get comfortable. I think Beverly made a great point with the gym. When I first went to my first gym, which was quite a while ago, and that was during what the Jane Fonda days, when everybody was wearing those leg warmers and looking like a French poodle who was well groomed. Uh, I went out and bought the stuff to look the part. I was always competing. Well, I did so many miles today. Tomorrow I'm going to do more, and it was terrible. It was a competitive situation with myself, and until I said, "Hey, I'm just going to go here, get a workout, enjoy myself," because tomorrow is based on today. If you had a great experience today, you look forward to replicating it. If it becomes work when it should be play, then it's not sustainable. So do as much as you can and feel good about it. This is your time. How you use it is meant for you, not to compete with others, not to measure yourself, because time, little things done right will compound over time. Here we go with Dennis, who says, agree, going to the gym when you do go, it does work out as real healthy action.
Sure.
And there's physical gyms, but there's emotional gyms, there's intellectual gyms. You can read books, you can Google things, you can watch YouTubes. There's no end to the resources. Before, you needed an Encyclopedia Britannica, or you need a library card if you really wanted to dive. And now it all comes to you. So it looks like, Beverly, everybody is transitioning one way or the other. And I think having a good compass to direct you is so important.
Yeah, it sure does. Um, I'm going back on what Christine was saying. Christine, the reality is ageism is worse for women because we are supposed to stay young, thin, and without scars. Um, Social media presents that big time today. Tremendous competition for young people all the time as they're watching TikTok and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. Um, and just on a side note, because I my podcast is Aging with Purpose and Passion, and this week when we do the drop, and so this is like ahead of time, I was interviewing a woman, and our caption is from NBC to AARP. Okay, that's she is now in the ARP generation, but she wanted to be a broadcaster and went out to be a broadcaster. And it was after she had her education in broadcasting, but it was only after her divorce that she went in and she tried to get back into the industry. And she was considered too old at 31. Okay. And she was told, you're too seasoned to work on TV. Okay. Well, today she has continued, but she did it through the back end, that's for sure. She was writing, she was working for PR companies, everything else, but she wasn't up on camera because she was too seasoned at 31. Well, today she has her own talk show in Michigan, et cetera, has been on ABC, NBC, you name it. And now she's one of the directors of AARP, ARP. So what you have to do is keep plugging and believing in yourself. But you can imagine how at 31 you must feel when you're told you're too old, you cannot be on camera. We want younger people. How humiliating is that? the word seasoned at 31. Now, I'm not so sure if a man would have that type of reaction. Men that age are considered distinguished. Men that age are considered more experienced. Women, on the other hand, can be really cut up by the media depending on their appearance. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, Christine, because that's out there, particularly in media. So we have to understand this as women. And then we have to be even more powerful. Raise your voice because you are not who you look like. Nobody is. And you do not have to look like a 20-year-old. And 20-year-olds can be just plain natural. They don't have to look like a Kardashian. Be yourself. And if you're yourself, you have no competition. That's it. That's all. You're it. You're unique. And so it won't matter your age. It doesn't matter even your experience. You can learn. You have to say to yourself, if this is what I want to do, find a way. And much like this woman, she found a way through the back end. She needed a job. She was divorced. All she knew was media. So where could she learn? She went to a PR company, and sure enough, she was doing copywriting, and she was 31 years old, and the copywriting was on gerontology, and she was taking courses in gerontology to be able to write her articles. And as she became more and more adept in gerontology, she was getting more and more commissions on being an expert in gerontology. And here she was in her 30s. Finally, she's an ARP member, and she is suited to being an ARP member. So what you say is it determination? Is it resilience? It's all of the above. All of the above. And the transitions that you're making have to be from where you begin and really what you want to do. And it starts with the thought. And the first thought, I'm using her as an example, the first thought is, I want to be on TV. The second thought was, I'm too seasoned. Well, if I'm too seasoned, what can I do? Rather than quitting and saying, I'm never going to get any work. I'm a loser. I'm too old. And then go in that spiral of negativity, depression. I'm not good enough. What can I do? I have to go back to school. No. So you have to look at yourself, be resilient. And the only way you can be resilient is in here. It takes confidence to say, I matter, I have value, and I can change, and I can make it for the best. I matter. That's the mantra. And you do.
And you do. And I believe that. And at the same time, one can generalize, but the benefit these days is in niching, right? My wife has a really good friend who's a pretty famous fashion designer, and she's in her late 70s now. And she went from creating dresses for brides to mother of the brides to now grandmothers of the brides,
Perfect.
and her fashion shows are all women over 70 who fashion her clothes. And some of these women are just beautiful. They haven't lost any of their beauty. If anything, they got a better glow, they got a deeper confidence. And there was a fashion model who just passed away at 94,
Mhm.
and she had her own Netflix show and was just outrageous in her fashion, and had a group of women in New York who would get together and just try all kinds of different things, bangles and beads and bracelets, and created a whole following. So it's easier to fit into where you're already fit
Yeah.
with people just like you. And that should be enough, right? Just like if you go to a gym, there's more equipment than you'll ever use. There's more time you could spend, but you just need what you need. And the other thing is being rewarded, feeling like a rewarded person, that what you're doing is rewarding, that people love you and respect you and honor you and can't wait to see you. And sometimes that comes in with volunteering. right? So not you have to separate. Am I making money off of it, or am I becoming a better person? Am I providing more value? And that's how you put together your game plan. And you can't be the best for everybody all the time. Without the naysayers, it kind of makes you think. It shouldn't have to make you change, but you hear something and it resonates. And then somehow you come back with, well, this is how I do it because of what I do. And, the other thing, explaining yourself to everybody makes no sense because no one really cares to that extent, right? And I think that's the key is I am who I am. I respect who I am. I'm always trying to do better. And I accept what I'm not also, right? How many people don't age with grace? And you see men trying to do one comb about with one string of hair to make him look like Brad Pitt or something. And that day is come and gone, or some women dress in ways that just doesn't support who they are or want to be. So you can't hang on to things that are gone. And, one thing you'd say, I was there, right? I had that same opportunity. And, when I was younger, I wasn't hanging around with older people, and I think that's changed a little bit. But it is what it is. The key is to work with it and to be good at it and also be the model for other people. That's important. And with that said, uh, covered a lot of ground. We still got some minutes left. If there's any comments, I think the comments really make the show and also direct us because it's not just us guessing. But Beverly, you know, like you say, change is
Changing the
important.
opposite.
Yeah, and key being close to the front end of change, understanding what your next change may be, because you're always constantly reinventing yourself, and that could be by appearance, that could be by how you associate with who, how you disassociate, because sometimes your time has passed, where it was important, but now you've learned it. You've outgrown it sometimes. So it's not always like someone said goodbye to you. You have the right to leave early and move to where you want to be now, and don't put all your eggs in one basket. So I think it's a great opportunity for people to check themselves and say, what more could I be? Where do I want to go? And more importantly, what group do I want to involve myself to support that?
Um, yeah, everything you're saying 100% on. What I'm thinking of though is exactly that you have often outgrown where you are. And that's where that icky place is when we were talking about transition. What do I do next? That's where the kids may have left home and they're off at school, and then you're not a real mom anymore. You're not needed, right? Of course you're needed, but you're needed differently and you have more time for yourself. What do I do? How do I fill it? Same thing with retirement, same thing with getting a different promotion in a company, filling a new role. Where am I really? Do I really fit that role? You may be doing the old job in the new role because your mindset isn't, I'm a leader. Your mindset isn't, is this what I'm supposed to be? Or is this who I should be? Or is this me? So there's a lot of that when it comes to transition. And I've seen that particularly with higher level executives, where you do get another role. That's why I'm thinking specifically of one person, where often in the workplace they will bring coaches to help them transition in the role. However, where I would come in is the person still doesn't feel it. They're doing the job. And when you do the job, what you have the tools to do the job, but there's a feeling that I'm an imposter. I really shouldn't be in this place. And that imposter syndrome carries as well. It's like I'm going to go back to Christine's, feeling of ageism. Um, women say this all the time. I'm too old for that. I am not, I cannot be on camera. You see this a lot, Dawn, because everyone now is on camera. Everyone now is being seen. And so it's like, no, but you can be seen because this is who you are. It doesn't really matter. What you've done when you're feeling I'm not good enough because I can't be on camera, you've put yourself in that box that that 30-year-old has been put in. And you're not allowing yourself to be yourself. So if you do have to put yourself out there, and there isn't a camera, but your job, and now today, practically everybody's job has to do with social media. You're out there from one platform or another. It truly doesn't matter. What you say matters. You speak to that. And if people are looking only for appearances, they're not your people. And that's another thing, that when you're going through a transition or you've reached a certain height and you're ready for something next, you have to find new people. And where you find it is in community, because community has all kinds of people. And you mentioned volunteering, Dawn, and that's the thing too. When you volunteer, you're meeting other people in a different community. And although you may say, oh, I'm just volunteering because I have time, what you're also doing, if you change that attitude, is you're getting to know more people. You're getting to get more resources because you know more people. And who knows, even if you were looking for a job, somebody might say, hey, I would love to have you, or I'm going to introduce you to someone else. And that's the same on social media. You don't know where anything goes. Just do it. You don't know what comes out of it. Don't push it. When you push something, it's not going to happen. How many times do you get pitched for something? And it's, as Kelly would say, the pitch slap. Who wants to be pitched? My goodness. Everyone wants to buy, but nobody wants to be sold to. And that's the thing. Okay? What you have to do is get to know, get to like, get to trust, because we can't trust people today at all. I don't know how many emails I get for selling something, doing something. I'm going to make $1 million doing this for no time, no effort. Really? Okay. And so we are very skeptical. And so we're not going to just change that easily. You don't make those transitions that easily. You have to think, you have to do the due diligence, you have to expand your network, you have to meet more people. And when you do things like that, all these little steps add up. And it always leads to something. If you get up every day and play the game, something is gonna happen eventually. It's when you quit, nothing happens. And that's the only time you fail, is when you quit. And so when I'm thinking again of this woman who at 31 years old was told she's too seasoned for TV, and now has all her shows and award winning and part of ARP yet because of gerontology. She knew nothing about gerontology at 31. You can grow into all kinds of things. If you allow transitions, things happen. And just allow it. Be open to it. And the world can be absolutely amazing, particularly now with all this technology, Dawn. It's wonderful.
Well, that is so hopeful, but also so accurate. I think what comes to mind also is when you're volunteering, everybody loves you, right? Because there's so few of you, right? People to come in and help, and they know there's not a financial benefit, so it's not because of an ulterior motive. So a lot of it is supply and demand. Don't go where everybody's competing for that one spot. Be the one spot that is looking for one or two people to join you. I mean, you get into LinkedIn alone is 1 billion people registered. Well, how could you have everybody want you for every reason, fit into everything? The other part of it is diversification. right? If everything depends on your job and that's the only thing in your life, you got all or nothing going on every day. If you have other opportunities, a couple side gigs, a couple things set up just in case, then you can be more yourself because you have the freedom to leave because either you have the resources or the opportunities or you built in the support group in advance. And if you like yourself, that should be enough, right? You shouldn't change because at the end of the day, it's happiness, satisfaction, and being healthy that is going to keep you a lot around longer. How many people just skyrocket and then fall to ground and stay there, right? Their trajectory just wasn't meant for a lifetime. You know, you see that in musicians and actors and actresses because you get the part, you make $10 million, you lose the part, you're living in your car, you know, and who wants that all or nothing all the time? And that's where having feedback, sharing with others, and getting honest, authentic opinions that you can leverage, and knowing tomorrow starts fresh for everybody. Don't let yesterday or the past define your future. Don't let maybe an unfriendly audience determine who you feel you are. You know, freedom can only be benefited really by movement and activity, right? When you can get around, go around, and be accepted, that should be enough. And I think everybody is changing, and we can all change for the better. And there's always going to be issues, you know, and that's what makes us special is we're unique in our own way and shouldn't be compared with everybody else. So I've always been hopeful because it's not what's done to you, it's how you respond to it and how you grow from it. You know, and sometimes you got to get knocked down to just to get up again and get up differently. So we're already at 56 minutes. Dennis says, agree, get to know, and stay out of the know. Positive attitude takes you a long way in life. And even when things look a little challenging, stay in your ground, being positive. You know, there was a saying, nobody, don't let anybody see you sweat, was a slogan, right? So, you know, when you're in tough situations, people want to see how you stand up. You know, people throw things out at you sometimes because they don't know the response. And then all of a sudden you fall into that trap, and then people know how to play you in the future. You know, so there's so many dynamics, mechanisms to this. But if someone puts the right plan together, it could make a huge difference in your future. And I think that's what we're all talking about here. So, Beverly, to kind of wrap it all up, what's your final thoughts on our conversation today and last tips that you might be able to offer?
Sure. Well, the first thing that you have to think of as far as transformation goes, you have to implement a routine. If you don't implement a routine, it's just going to be a thought. So, what you have to do is say the thought is a start, the action, and then keep the routine going. If you don't have the routine, it's not going to happen at all. And embrace change. There are many people that really fear change, and for them, it's so hard. All these life transitions are extremely hard because change is a constant, whether we like it or not. Our bodies change, our families change, life changes. It's all about change. So you have to embrace the change, throw out the old, literally. Okay, it's spring. In spring, you know, get rid of the things you no longer need. It's a cleansing, it's change. And what you do is you're allowing more space for new things. Don't be defeated, be resilient. Okay? When you're defeated, you lose. And when you're resilient, you'll figure out a way somehow and you're going to win. Okay. So if anyone is stuck for any reason, I always offer 15 minutes and you can just schedule on my agenda and you'll speak to me then. And once again, you can find me on LinkedIn. And aging with purpose and passion is my passion. It's a podcast for women. It's a podcast for everybody, but it's really women that have moved on in life, regardless of all the obstacles that are before them. And I mean all of them. And when you listen to some of these programs, you say, oh my goodness, how did people overcome these things? It's all about transition. It's all about change. It's all about mental attitude. And it's all about saying, I can. And that should be your mantra for today. I
Well,
can.
that is so empowering. And one thing everybody should appreciate, everybody at one time or another is where you are. I know Beverly, myself, have faced all kinds of ups and downs and had to respond to things, and we got better for it. You never like falling down, but you sure get humbled and you learn how to get up, and then you learn how to get even further than you were before falling down. So it's just a process. And I think Beverly makes a great point is be with people who are positive, who have a great center of influence, and that's where your real value would be referrals, will be introductions, because they may only know you superficially, but they know the other person really well and they respect their judgment and are willing to have the courtesy of saying, oh, because Beverly mentioned you, I think it'd be great for a conversation. So you're not only in there for support, but you're in there for the community benefit of sharing, of learning, of growing. And why not add that to your arsenal? So, with that, I want to thank all these wonderful people in the audience. You came up with some of the most really quality comments that led us in this direction. And hopefully, we return the favor in some level of advice or tips or support. And we're here every Tuesday. And I would advocate following Beverly a little more closer. Look at her post, look at her podcast, and take advantage of it. It's there for you. Some things people are waiting for the door to knock, and some doors are already open, right? You just have to walk through them. So, with that laugh by Beverly, I'm going to end it right there on a positive note. Want to thank everybody again. Come back tomorrow. We've got Carol Dakin with us. And then on Thursday, we've got Kelly coming back with Dave Snell. So have a lovely week ahead, and hopefully we can talk again. So take care. Bye for now. Thank you so much, Beverly.